this is in my continuing tribute to Beserker793, which is a admitted racist. He uses scientific theories to justify his racist beliefs. Since many racists feel that their views are not being exposed fairly, I'm going to try to imitate how they view things. Now, keep in mind that I have a tendency to be biased, but I'm going to try to be as objective as I possibly can. So, in my continuing series of speeches, I want to present a speech that Beserker793 would say if he was a pro-white activist. And this speech is regarding to slavery. Here it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, the left wing has lied to you about slavery. I'm not saying that slavery did not exist, and I'm not saying that the black man was not taken out of his country and imported here in America to be our slave. I will not deny that. But what I will say is that there is a Marxist, liberal, socialist slant, either one of those things, if you want to use either one of those views. Let me just backtrack. There is a left-wing slant, which can be either communist, liberal, or socialist, toward this view of history. This view of history presumes that the white race is the only race, or the majority of people who enslave other races. That's a bunch of garbage. Okay, first of all, the Africans have enslaved the Africans, and the reason why why we took the Africans as slaves is because the Africans sold them to us. That does not justify slavery, but that shows the cause and the explanation of black slavery. It is not white supremacy. White supremacy is not the cause of black slavery. The cause of black slavery is the fact, the reality that blacks, tribal blacks, warring with other tribal blacks, have captivated or have taken prisoner slaves. They use those prisoners to trade technology and merchandise. That is not a lie. Okay. Second of all, the Arabs. The Arabs, you know, the Nation of Islam and how they love the Arabs. Well, the Arabs enslaved the black man. That's right, the Arabs have enslaved the black man. So it's not only the white man has enslaved the black man has enslaved the black man, the Arabs have enslaved the black man. And I can't remember others, but in that reality, we cannot say that whites enslaved blacks due to white supremacy. That is a lie. It's a leftist, liberal lie. Now, speaking of that, how should we view white relations or the white attitude toward blacks? For me to be, I want to be politically incorrect. Yes, slavery was wrong. Yes, we shouldn't have had slaves. Africans shouldn't have enslaved their own. And it is a lie by the left to say that the blacks have had more compassionate version of slavery. They did not have a more compassionate version of slavery, and as a matter of fact, they still enslave blacks right now. We have erased slavery. Slavery is illegal in every white nation. Slavery is justified in black nations. That's going on right now. But yet we continue to talk about white on black slavery. Are you trying to tell me that is justified? That is not a conservative viewpoint. That is the right viewpoint. So, let's go back to the real truth of how whites have treated blacks. Taking out slavery and taking out the fact that slavery existed, which was wrong, and we abolished it which was the right thing to do. What have blacks done? Nothing. More crime, lower education, inferior IQs, rare economic mobility. The left says that is racism. It's not racism. You weren't qualified for those positions that require a strong IQ. And those who were qualified did succeed. Okay? It wasn't the fact that this color of your skin held you back. It was the fact that the capacity of your intellect held you back. That's just a fact. The capacity of the black man's intellect, which is reflected in biology, which is reflected of their biology, has led their race to be bottom in the economic field, bottom in the intellectual field, bottom in the moral field. Okay? That's the truth. Now, keep in mind that the black African that was in Africa when he came to America was in a more civilized society, had a better way of life, even as a slave, far more as a free man than any tribal society. He was given our technology, and what has he done with it? Absolutely nothing. I'm just being blunt. Okay, we have a few exceptions to the rule, but in general, what has the black race done since he has been freed? Not really that much. And yes, the blacks will say it's Jim Crow. Well, Jim Crow segregates the races. Okay, you have a black school, you have a white school. The black school shouldn't get more equal money than the white school because it doesn't produce the people who have the income to create a stronger school. If you're poor, you're black in the South, it's because of the most likely because of the biological capacity, because there were blacks. There were blacks that succeeded in the racist South, in the segregated South. That's what the liberals don't want to tell you. There were blacks. And why did those blacks succeed? Most likely because they were exceptions to the biological rule, and most likely they had a higher tendency for white genes. They were still seen as niggers. Okay? A mulatto nigger was seen as a nigger. So it wasn't because they were seen as less of a nigger. Okay, the white South had a strict policy of the one drop rule that says that any inch of niggerism or any inch of negroidism makes you a nigger. Okay, so we can lose that excuse. Jim Crow South is just basically segregation. Segregation of schools. Segregation of schools and the quality of schools are not necessarily reflective of income at all, because if you look at the proportionate amount of money that you need for these schools, it should be good enough. So the schools aren't the problem. It was the black savagery that made those schools inferior. Destroying their schools, not respecting their schools. I mean, you're looking at a race who wants to depend on the white race to build to civilize them, but yet wants to deny that the white race is doing that. So when they deny that the white race is doing that, then they can justify that the white race is the evil oppressor and they're trying to keep them down. It's bullshit. Bullshit. The white man has elevated the black race standard of living out of Africa, and I'm talking about in a global context. Those from African descent have a higher standard of living because they were imported from Africa, and because the Africans themselves has enslaved them and traded them with the Europeans. That is the facts, not this white oppressor bullshit. Have a nice day, white world.